They kicked off a petition to ban Sophie Cunningham like she was storming the WNBA as a full-blown Marvel supervillain. And her response? Let's just say she didn't pull out an apology. She rolled out a highlight montage sprinkled with extra sass and swagger. If anyone expected tears, regret, or even a quiet moment of reflection, they clearly don't know Sophie. She came armed with clapbacks, energy, and a mic drop so seismic it bounced through the league's echo chamber. This wasn't damage control. This was diva mode domination. Sophie just turned cancel culture into her own personal comedy roast special. And you're going to want popcorn for what came next. If you support Sophie, comment Spicy Sophie down below. Let's go. Sophie Cunningham's response to all this, in terms of her tweets. Like, if you guys didn't see Sophie Cunningham's retweets, Sophie Cunningham obviously responded with the shrug. Instagram post, but has responded to the petition by just retweeting a freaking post about her is being sold out. That is a response. That is quote tweeting her the petition. Like that is the best way of going about it. When she saw that petition, she literally laughed mid-lunge like she was doing lunges during warm-ups and couldn't be bothered. And then, like it was her favorite fan comment, she retweeted the call to ban her. Not sarcastically, gleefully. Sophie isn't just ignoring the drama. She's fueling up on it like it's a triple shot espresso in her protein shake. They tried to write her into this exaggerated WNBA drama script as the villain who must be stopped, and she looked up from the bench like, did someone summon me? Forget redemption. This is full-on glitter-covered retaliation in high definition. Now let's talk about that tweet. It wasn't just a passive retweet. It was royal decree levels of petty. The kind of tweet that basically said, thanks for the free promo. Digital knuckles were cracked. Subtext screamed, let's dance. If you thought Sophie was about to crumble under the pressure of online outrage, then welcome to your first Sophie Cunningham lesson. She doesn't fold under criticism. She leans in, dishes fire, and hits send with her signature smug. And let's be honest, that petition, it was a masterpiece of overreaction. A group meltdown disguised as activism. It read like fans who accidentally wandered into a WNBA soap opera and couldn't handle a woman playing defense with heart. But here's the crucial truth. Sophie isn't dirty. She's deliberate. There's a difference between disorder and discipline, and people have clearly forgotten that. When she gets physical, it's because someone started it. She's not out here throwing the first brick. She's responding with structural integrity and maybe a little glittery vengeance. Because mess with her teammates, and Sophie transforms into a heat-seeking missile in sneakers. One eyebrow raised toward Caitlin Clark, and Sophie's charging like a human wrecking ball powered by emotional justice. This isn't a foul, it's family. You come at the fever, you're going to feel the heat. Let the league debate technicals and flagrant ones all day. Sophie's operating by a different rulebook. Protect the squad at all costs. And guess what? Somewhere along this path of fire, Sophie stumbled into an unexpected role. The WNBA's most unlikely folk hero, not just for the Caitlin Clark diehards or Indiana loyalists, but for anyone watching the sport thinking, wait a second, where's the consistency? Sophie's got linebacker energy, meme queen timing, and the emotional patience of someone who's fully out of patience. This is the Cinderella story with sneakers and a side of rage. Instead of a slipper, she's fitting defenders with shoulder checks and dragging hypocrisy like a defensive assignment. They wanted her muted, sidelined, embarrassed. What they got was a viral headline machine with a playbook full of righteous rage. She's not angry for the sake of drama. She's had it. She spent weeks, months, watching her teammate Caitlin Clark take cheap shots from every direction, endure slander, and somehow still be expected to smile through it. Meanwhile, the league and refs toss out techs and eject players like it's a spin-the-wheel party. But always, somehow, the harshest spotlight lands on the fever. Let's break that down. Please explain how J.C. Sheldon charges into Sophie like a linebacker with zero breaks, and that's passion. But Sophie answers, and the internet's acting like she launched a missile at center court. This isn't just bias, it's absurdity wrapped in selective memory. Sheldon's shoulder didn't lower, it transformed into a tactical battering ram. It was all game, folks, all game. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were getting checked all game. The Indiana Fever were getting punked all game. The referees let this physical style of basketball continue and continue and continue and continue and continue and continue, and eventually, Sophie Cunningham had enough. Oh yeah. Sophie Cunningham had enough, folks. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. We wanted somebody like this that said, I'm tired of this. I'm trying to step up. It's time to step up. We're not going to get punked anymore. We're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're not going to get treated like a little sister anymore, like a little brother anymore. We are going to start being the one that say, you know what? We're not going to start the fight, but we damn sure will finish the fight. Sophie took that hit like a champ, barely blinked, and responded the way all elite enforcers do, with emotionally charged precision. That wasn't rage. It was measured correction. You shake her balance. She resets the system and you feel it. Not violence, just vengeance measured in pounds per square inch. And here's what no one tells you. Sophie never set out to be the league's rebel icon. She didn't come for fame. She came for fairness. All she wanted was a consistent rulebook, one that applied regardless of jersey color or social media popularity. But when the league made it clear the bullies were here to stay, Sophie said, fine, let's go. What Sophie Cunningham did, she stood on business, bro. Sophie Cunningham stood on business about her dear friend, Caitlin Clark, bro. And that was honorable what she did, bro. That was honorable. I'm sorry, bro. I will forever justify this. I am sorry, bro. That was honorable what she had done for Caitlin, bro. And it's working. Fans are flipping. Jerseys are selling. TikToks are blowing up with her highlights. She's not just a player anymore. She's a cultural shift. The kind of athlete who doesn't need a crisis manager because she is the crisis and the comeback rolled into one. Meanwhile, the critics are unraveling. They've never seen a woman respond to cancel culture with pure charisma and viral comebacks. The more they boo, the louder the cheers grow. Every defensive play now feels like a trailer for the action sequel of the season. Sophie's not just defending the rim, she's defending common sense, integrity, and her squad's right to play hard without being painted as criminals. Sophie Cunningham isn't wilding out for kicks. It's all purposeful. She's guarding her squad. When Caitlin Clark was getting roughed up, who stood tall? Who refused to stay silent? Sophie. She noticed the whispers at the end line, saw the subtext fouls no one dared address, and unleashed, not today. Yes, her response crossed into physical territory, and yes, she sent a crystal clear message. You can press us, but we'll press back with force. Somewhere amidst the maelstrom of chaos, Sophie emerged as the WNBA's new emblem of unapologetic strength. Not because she sought it, but because she forged it with every shoulder shove and her side eye on social media. Sophie Cunningham obviously responded with the shrug. Instagram post, but Sophie Cunningham also retweeted this. Sophie Cunningham jerseys have completely sold out. But there's been a lot of posts about Sophie Cunningham jerseys completely selling out. There's been a lot of posts. This is the only one. This is genuinely the only one that is quote tweeting. WNBA fans have now made a petition to have Sophie Cunningham removed from the league. You can't make this up. She didn't start the fire, but she sure knows how to use the heat. And guess what the haters don't get? You can't cancel someone who's already embraced their villain arc. Sophie leaned in, dressed it up, and now the very critics who demanded her removal are watching her rise, not just as a player, but as a movement. Go ahead, reopen that petition. Scroll through those signatures masquerading as tears, because every protest only fuels her momentum. She's not simply surviving the storm, she's orchestrating it. And if you think this is her finale, think again. So let's talk about those watchful referees, those traffic cones and stripes who saw a full-body collision and thought, sounds about right. Their role was to neutralize tension. Instead, they brought folding chairs to a gladiator match and forgot which team was taking hits. The way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players in it. They especially weren't protecting the number one player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. She's going to stand up for her teammate, and that's what she did in that moment. Then there was the double shove on Caitlin Clark. Not a polite brush, not a scrimmage legal bump. This was full-force physics class gone rogue. 2 angles of shoulder-inflicted damage, like a clumsy experiment in contact mechanics. And absolutely nothing changed. Marina Mowbray lingered on the court. Sheldon stayed. Sophie stood alone, the lone referee, in a room of complacency. Meanwhile, post-game, The league delivered its performative gasp. Oops, our bad. We just reviewed 8 camera angles and, that wasn't great. A band-aid on a bullet wound. Public relations masquerading as progress. Where was that protection in the moment? Where was the whistle as Caitlin went down like a dodgeball casualty in dystopia? Upgrading fouls after the final horn is like sending thoughts and prayers after a house burns down. That eye poke? Zero technical. The brutal shove that followed? Only Sophie felt the impact lining her couch. Caitlin blinked, stunned, as if she'd wandered onto a football field wearing ballet flats. And the refs? They yawned. Then came Kathy's blindside shove. Blink and you'll miss it. But don't worry, Sophie, and every camera captured it. This wasn't physicality. It was sneak attack land. Yet nothing happened. And no, Sophie didn't lash out. She didn't respond physically, not once. She stood there as the chaos played out like her worst highlight. That restraint, that professionalism, she saved it all for her game, her guard, her shoulder check arsenal. And for that, she received highlight reels depicting her being leveled while the referees sipped imaginary lattes on the side. Here is the problem. So many of these incidents are happening towards Indiana Fever players, particularly Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, Mabry and Sheldon strutted off like they'd delivered a standing ovation-worthy performance. The league's response? A foul-up that was urgently retrofitted post-game, when the ink on the petition was already dry. It was validation after the fact. A participation ribbon for a crime scene. A gotcha sticker applied to no effect. Meanwhile, Sophie was left to play cleanup, a superhero with no utility belt. And this wasn't a one-off. Oh no. This is a consistent playbook of inconsistent stoppages, fueling players like Sophie to become backup referees while trying to win games. This isn't just negligence. It's selective negligence. If Sophie inhales wrong, they call flagrant. If someone collapses her to row 3, it's business as usual. The double standard is so thick it could build a fortress. And yet here she is, tweeting, showing up, steeling herself for the next round. Because each uncalled foul, each non-technical call, turns her into something sharper, smarter, sharper. She's not angry, she's unbreakable. A warrior crafting her own reputation from the rubble of poor officiating. But enough is enough. At some point the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. It is something that, since the beginning, I've kind of backed off on, because physical play is a part of sports. Going after a superstar and trying to wrap them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly. And fans are watching. They see every freeze frame dissected on TikToks. They track who threw the elbow, who launched the shove, which player walked away unscathed. They're no longer observers, they're auditors. They track fouls like legal clerks and demand accountability with the consistency of clockwork. Sophie's not just starring. She's the subject of a full-court investigation. Her highlights are evidence. The sidelines are courtroom benches. And everybody knows the receipts are everywhere. Can you specifically detail me might get control the game just to be, in your words, you control the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Right, and consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. This isn't just about one player's temper or a blurred moment of aggression. This is about systemic oversight that allows violent infractions to slide while performing cosmetic fixes later. The league wants tough play, but only from its favorites. They want drama, but only if it aligns with the scripted narrative. Sophie didn't fit that main, so they tried to clip her wings. Instead, she broke free, used that box as her new podium, and set it ablaze with her next tweet. Repeat after me. We want toughness, but only if it follows the script. We want entertainment, but only within narrative bounds. Sophie disrupted that. She refuses to fit in clear lines. She's rewriting the rhythm of the game, one physical rebuke, one flawed whistle, one viral moment at a time. And still, not a whisper from the refs, no apology, no tough love, just the soft hum of retroactive penalties and muted promises. It's the equivalent of benching a player with an ice pack, rather than calling an ambulance. Justice? It's sitting on the sidelines watching Sophie hike the intensity every game. But now, she doesn't wait for the call. She becomes both the referee and the enforcer. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just playing for a win. She was playing for validation. And while the league plays catch-up, she's already stepped into the spotlight.